So, welcome to Stiff Shots. This is episode 1. This is your host, Attention Gaming Disorder. So, we're calling this first episode The Experiment. Now, some of you might not know what I'm referring to, but I think if you really think about it for a second, you might know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this guy right here, Roman Reigns. Now, I don't have anything really wrong with Roman Reigns. I think he's a good guy. I think he could be a really good worker for the company, and I actually do think he's a really good worker for the company. But he has a glaring error in the WWE's way of doing things. He has a big problem that's not entirely his fault. He was shoved down our throats. He was pushed too much. He didn't get a natural ebb and flow. And they keep throwing this guy out there, and throwing this guy out there, and throwing this guy out there. Like, people are kind of tired of this man right now. Is he a face? Is he a heel? We don't really know. Problem is, the WWE doesn't know. Triple H has recently had a long discussion where he was saying, oh yeah, Roman Reigns is face to some and a heel to others. Kind of like John Cena, you know? People boo him, people cheer him. But, that's something that John Cena kind of pointed out himself and made for himself. And then, the people in the audience started thinking, hey, I'm part of the audience. I'm a part of the show. I need to do something. Just kind of how they do with the beach ball, kind of how they wore out the most horrible thing ever, which we'll get through in another episode here. But you know what I'm talking about. You deserve it. Or this is awesome, or just chanting out crap that nobody cares about, or even know what chants. But we'll get to that in another episode. But Roman Reigns has come in there. He was part of a Shield with Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. And they went out there and they worked. They put on good shows. They tried their best. They did everything they could to get over. And they were. They were big time over. People loved these guys. They were the must-see television. They would come through the crowd. They'd pick fights. They'd beat the crap out of people, and they'd split. And they wouldn't back down. These guys were over as a big group. At that time, you had Dean Ambrose kind of leading the way with the mic work, the promos. And he was doing a great job. Kind of had the Corey Feldman kind of look to him from Lost Boys. But he was doing a really good job. Receding hairline and all. But I digress. We also had Seth Rollins in there. Seth Rollins was just like working. He was just in there doing the high flying stuff, doing the real technical mat stuff. He was the worker. Roman Reigns was cleanup man. He was like the giant, 18-pound bowling ball that you'd use and just knock all the pins down. And he was good at it. People loved him for it. And then, all of a sudden, they broke up the Shield. They broke them up maybe a little bit too early, but they were eventually going to have to break them up. And they put Seth Rollins as, the bad guy. They put him as the heel, the main heel, and they built the show kind of around him. He didn't really get over as much as he should have either, but let's just kind of try to focus on Reigns. Reigns, of all those three guys, kept the music. Reigns kept the gear. Reigns kept the I'm coming through the crowd kind of stuff for quite a while. Roman Reigns was the guy you could tell right away, hey, we're trying to make this guy the main guy. As he calls himself the big dog. So, people aren't really hating him yet. In fact, in one Royal Rumble, they wanted this man to win. That is until Daniel Bryan wasn't in one Royal Rumble and they realized, oh crap, this is all we got left with? We don't like this guy. Let's boo the hell out of him. Didn't even matter who it was. So, Roman Reigns can put on good matches. Roman Reigns doesn't have that many moves, but he can put on good matches. He's not the best seller, but he's believable. If you watch his match with Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, he sold. He sold pretty well. He also did the Superman thing like John Cena does, and just came back out of nowhere and, filled it up and was like, oh, I'm the most powerful man ever, and absorbed all the punishment and just took it to Brock Lesnar. Like, all his moves did nothing to him. whatever. WWE has been doing that for quite a time now. I mean, Hulk Hogan did that. Um, he made his whole career about that, hulking up. The Ultimate Warrior did that. So that's not the main problem. The main problem is not so much Roman Reigns. He has his own problems, but kind of the company has just been forcing things down his mouth to say to us. Remember the whole suffering succotash gimmick he was trying to do? I mean, that was never going to get over. That was just an idiot move by them. Uh, they should have maybe built him as just a big monster kind of guy. Like, hey, here he comes out. He's just going to beat the crap out of people and he's going to split. In fact, when they've actually done that, it's gotten over. It's worked. They just don't consistently do it. They start feeding this guy lines. They start feeding this guy material. And he's not so comfortable doing promos. Now, the image I have here is of a promo that's famous for him now. You can even see Kurt Angle in the background over there just kind of, oh my gosh, kind of laughing, chuckling a little bit. But they threw this man out there. They gave him a script. They tried to make it look like a shoot, which is an overused term in its own right. But, you know, they tried to give him a script. And what happened was he went out there. He had some things to say, but I think they should have just kind of let him go off the cuff, let him screw up a little bit, and let him fail a little bit. And it was on a national stage. It was on a big. It was on their flagship show, but they should have let him screw up a little bit, or let him screw up beforehand because it wouldn't be so glaring right now. He had material that he could throw at John Cena, big time. He could call him out for all kinds of stuff. And he kind of did, but he really didn't. We've seen this promo before. We've seen CM Punk. CM Punk was really good about it because he could back it up. And he's a better talker than John Cena, which is a lot to say because John Cena is amazing on the mic. As much as I might not like him, he's just really good on the mic. He's a real good promo man. But we had John Cena out there and Roman Reigns. And Roman Reigns was just outclassed, to say the least. He forgot lines, and that was really unfortunate because you kind of felt for the guy. John Cena just jumped on it right away and said, "It's called a promo. It's called a promo." And yeah, it is called a promo. He should be better at it. They haven't really given him the opportunity to be good at it yet. But it will happen. It will happen because they're going to keep forcing it and forcing it and forcing it. And nobody's going to really like it. They're going to make this guy as big as they can make him. They're going to push him and push him and push him. And we're all just going to have to deal with it. But they shouldn't be doing it like this. Yes, we're going to be stuck with this guy, despite Braun Strowman being much more over. And he's built right. I don't know what they're doing with him, but they're just kind of like, okay, just go out there, say two things, and then drop the mic, beat the crap out of somebody. Okay, why didn't they do that with Roman Reigns? It was working. I guess they're saying, oh, Roman Reigns is part of like The Rock, and he's like a relative of The Rock. He should be able to talk and stuff. He doesn't have it yet. He's been in there a while. He should have it by now, but he doesn't have it. This is a bigger problem with the whole industry of pro wrestling right now. They're a little afraid to give him the mic and just say, go out there and do what you want. I guess during the Attitude Era, there was a lot more liberties to do that with because the guys had been proven to be able to do that. But it just doesn't seem like it's there for the guy. And I call it the experiment because it really is an experiment. They handpicked the man. They said, this is what you're going to do. This is why you're going to do it. You're going to go out there. This is how you're going to fight. This is how you're going to talk. This is what you're going to say. Let's see if it gets over. Oh, it didn't? It should have. Let's keep doing it. And they just kept doing that and doing it and doing it. And the guy goes out there and he tries his best and he gets shit on. He gets shit on over and over and over and over and over. And if I'm supposed to believe the character, yeah, I can't stand the character. I don't think they want us to believe that about him. I don't think they want him to be the heel. I know Triple H says he can be a heel and a face, and if you try to turn him heel in the minds of some, then he'll turn into a face by the people that thought he was a heel to begin with. They don't know what they're doing. They lost their touch. I think some guy like William Regal might be the one to come in there and kind of explain everything to this guy. He is more than capable. He has a good look. He has good wrestling gear. He has some moves. I actually hate the Superman punch. I don't know why they just overuse that move. The spear, I mean, you got to understand. So I'm 32 years old. When I first saw the spear, I saw it as a setup move to the jackhammer for Goldberg. And I was like, oh yeah, the spear. It's a spear, you know. It's just a setup move. Then I saw a smaller guy like Edge use it, and I never believed it. Edge was a great wrestler, but I just never believed the move from him. I think Rhino did the gore. Sure, there's other people that done spear. I know there were some female wrestlers that done the spear, but I don't really buy the spear. And then but I mean, that's fine. I mean, he has a move. Nobody's using the move. He's using a move. He can get the move over. It's a fairly protected move to where, you know, it's going to result in a pinfall most times. But the Superman punch, I think I watched a match with him recently where he just kept doing Superman punch after Superman punch. It was the four-way between him, Joe, Braun, and Lesnar. And he just kept hitting these Superman punches. And it's like, why are you going to call it the Superman punch if everyone keeps getting right back up? What's so super about that? And what's the point of it? He's just going to pop it up and then hit. I mean, it's just a bad move. They've used it so much now, it's lost all power. They either have to pull it back and just say you only use this in special occasions, or, you know, I mean, there's not or. What they're going to do is just keep using it. They don't know what to do with this guy. They were super surprised he didn't get over when he did, and now they're even more surprised he's still not over. So let's go back to this promo. John Cena called Roman Reigns a guy, not the guy, a guy, which I've been saying for a long time because I thought it would be a really good shot at the guy to turn him heel. I thought Finn Balor or Balor or, you know, AJ Styles could have actually flipped it completely on him and just said, you're not the guy, you're just a guy, and call him Jag and like have these Jag shirts that he would wear around everywhere. Kind of like Chris Jericho would have done back in the day when he was making fun of Dean Malenko with Man of 1004 moves when he had the shirt, or the Gilbert, just something like that, just to either help Roman Reigns turn to heel where people are like starting to make fun of him, or get yourself over as the heel and make Roman Reigns really the face. Like really just call him the Jag, and everyone would call him the Jag. They missed the opportunity on that. Now John Cena said it. It's just a throwaway thing. Anyone else that says it now is just going to be, you know, copying him. But this promo was really rough on him. He had some nice things to say, but it was just super rough. He could have called John Cena out for all kinds of things, but I mean, that's limited rope they have on people now. But they could have called John Cena out on something like, you know, calling people part-timers, and part-timers are just crap. But when he was fighting The Rock, he kept calling The Rock out for being a part-timer. And like, what? John Cena's a damn part-timer now. Call him out on it. Do something. If the guy's not going to be there that long, what do you have to risk? The guy's been in the company for so long. He's been so over. He's been, you know, he's been the face of the company. He's not one of the top 20 best wrestlers ever. But he's making him a lot of money. But he's now going to part-time status, and he's over. He's not going to not be over. He was made a long time ago. Just a really interesting thing going on with this guy. Now they got a match coming up. Who knows what's going to go on with that? I'll probably do some No Way Out or Mercy predictions here coming up in the week about who's going to win and what's going to happen, but maybe on Saturday or Sunday. But who knows what they're doing? I think when the cool thing about this promo is this. When they before they started this promo, I don't really think people wanted to see the match. John Cena might say that he has people cheer him and boo him, but really, he's boring. He's been boring for a long time, and the people that cheer him are very young, and the people that boo him are, you know, a little bit older and kind of see through it and kind of getting tired of it. They would have booed Hogan was getting booed before he left the WWF in the 90s. People were starting to catch on. It's like, we'll do something different. But John Cena's past the point of, trying to turn him heel or trying to do anything different. He's going to come out there. He's going to give the same rise up speech every single time, just like he's always done. And only a few people can call him out and actually make him get red in the face on the thing. CM Punk could do it on the mic, and then he backed it up in the ring, gave John Cena probably his best match. Some of his best matches, if not, and probably his best match ever. The Rock called him out on it. The Rock, not really much of a wrestler anymore, but I mean, they had a decent match. But that was more of the promo thing, and he just tore into John Cena, and it was great. The Miz was very good at it. John Cena and him are about equal, so they spar back and forth. Only problem is, in the ring, they didn't put on a great match. I mean, the last time they had the really good match was, who knows? I mean, the last time they actually had a match was that mixed tag team match was just a one-sided affair, just to, John Cena and Nikki just to do the proposal. That's the whole reason for that match. And it really sucks because Maurice was a great wrestler, and she could have actually put on a better performance other than just jobbing out to Nikki, who's improved a lot, so she's a little bit better than she used to be, but still nobody really cares. But all that said, John Cena's just, I guess he's their last resort to try to get this guy over. I know they had a little fight on Twitter saying some stuff, and that's cool, but he is the last guy that's going to come in here and try to do something, and maybe it'll work. What I think they should do is just straight up turn this guy heel. Some people will like him even more because he beats, actually make him the tweener. I think Roman Reigns says, I'm the first gray area guy. No, you're not the first gray area guy. You're not the first gray area guy. Steve Austin was a gray area guy. He was called a tweener. CM Punk is the closest they've ever had to that again. And they, instead of embracing it, they just booked them wrong. They tried to have Triple H come back in, which nobody even cared about. They had Alberto Patron or Del Rio at the time he had the belt, and it didn't make any sense. Punk should have got a really good run with that belt and would have been over. So he was a gray area guy. Roman's not a gray area guy. But I think the Don Tony show was talking about this, about how WWE is afraid to turn guys that are like super adored. Roman Reigns isn't that adored by the fans. John Cena was kind of adored by the little kids. Bret Hart was adored. They turned him. He was super adored. People were crying and crying for that guy all the time, all over the world. But Don Tony did and Kevin Castle made a good point saying that, well, he still stayed the same that he was everywhere else in the world. Yeah, he still was popular everywhere else in the world, just not in America. He was kind of buried in America. So I can see that. Andre the Giant was one of the most loved guys ever. Turned him heel. He came back eventually. So, John Cena, if they were ever going to turn him heel, was a long time ago. Now there's not enough time to turn him back to a face. So, he's kind of winding things down. I don't think he wants to even risk that because it's kind of risking his legacy and things. He is what he is. Roman Reigns, this is your one shot. You can actually make this guy a gray area guy. You can make this guy somewhere in the middle. You can make this guy, I don't know what's going on right now. You have this match coming up. You have to. This is your failed experiment that you've been shoving down our throats for a long time. You have to figure this out. So, I'm just suggesting that one of the things you can do here is perhaps, have him and John Cena go out there, put on a nice match, kind of yell at the crowd a little bit, have Roman Reigns resort to using something like a steel chair, make it look like he actually hurts the guy. Or just have the match go the whole time. The best suggestion I could think of just off the top of my head here, have John Cena defeat Roman Reigns, and I haven't told much about the finish yet. I just know John Cena should beat Roman Reigns and go for a handshake afterwards because they screwed all that up. I remember the guys were like, they were at each other's throats, and then all of a sudden they're in a tag match. So, try to build that up. You only have a few days left. You can't do another show beforehand. They did come back out there this past Monday and talk some more crap, but Roman still didn't have much to say. So, don't have him say anything. Have John Cena beat him. Have him, have it be a really big back and forth, hard fought match. have the finish be a kind of little messy where the ref misses something where he might have had his foot on a rope or something, or it's kind of questionable. His shoulder might be up, but don't end it right there. Have John Cena and him get up and like they're having a discussion. John Cena just kind of goes for a handshake, and Roman Reigns kind of throws a fit, kicks the bottom rope, and then John Cena's like kept extending his hand, and Roman Reigns grabs his hand and then kicks him, low blows him, does his own move on him, you know, gets a steel chair in there and just wallops the hell out of this guy. That would make a lot of sense. Yes, it would put like the people that are younger and like Roman Reigns kind of in a hard spot, but he'd be so much over. He'd have a clear direction then. He'd have a really clear direction. I doubt they'll ever do that. He'd have a direction. See, I just doubt they'll ever do that. I don't see him doing it, but I would love for him to do it. See, if he did that, he would be kind of a tweener. The people that were just hating on him were like, hell yeah, he just beat the crap out of John Cena. We've been bitching about John Cena for a long time. Now he's done. Now John Cena is down on the ground. He's beaten up. They're not going to do that because they have this really cool angle they can do with the Shield. They could do a thing with the Shield where this match just kind of ends in a wash or something, and then the Shield comes out there, and then they all team up, and then he does an actual heel turn by turning on the Shield and John Cena at Survivor Series, which would be a good thing. Or the whole Shield could turn on John Cena and put him through a table again. You know, there's a lot of options here. The good thing is there's still options. There's still a little bit of time. It is a little bit of a failed experiment. They did shove in our throats because right now you got several guys that are just more over than Roman Reigns that can be better. Just on the Raw brand, I'm talking. So you got your main guy there, Braun Strowman. He's so over. They didn't wait on him in the Lesnar match. I don't know why. They just want to get it while it's hot, but man, that's a must see. Joe just got hurt. Joe was very over. Joe actually looked legit tough guy. They did screw up the finish with him and Lesnar by only making him take one F5, but they should have, had him take multiple hits and made him even more of a monster because the guy was over. He was over as like a super bad guy. He was just tough. He's just a tough guy. Actually, maybe lucky he did get hurt because I'm pretty sure they're going to feed him to John Cena since he's losing to John Cena at every single house show. But, that would be a mistake in its own right. They could really build that up. I hope they do. So this might just be a real quick one-off, but, I don't know what else to really say about this. It's just bad news. But those guys are over. Lesnar's always going to be over. Cena's on there now. Cena's over. Finn could be over. I don't know what they're doing with him. They're having him getting dragged down to hell with Bray Wyatt, who's just, they've never had a, good thing for him either. Just kind of, lose, keep losing. Okay. There's a lot of these new guys they brought up, they just didn't know what to do with them. Seth never really got over. Seth Rollins really never got over. So maybe if I bring this back up here and say the experiment, maybe there's just more than just Roman Reigns. Seth Rollins was never super over. Roman Reigns has never been super over. Dean Ambrose, people love Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins right now, but they just never been that over. Bray Wyatt, I don't know what the hell they're doing with that guy. He just keeps losing. In fact, the only guy that actually did anything and they didn't really push him to, even three of these guys. Okay, so AJ got over just by being a damn good worker, and then he improved his promos. Him and John, just excellent. Owens was kind of a failed experiment because he didn't start hitting the stride until he lost his title with Goldberg. It should have been him and Jericho for a title at the WrestleMania. It would have been actually a really good over match. It would have been very entertaining. So that was kind of a failed thing. I remember for months and months, the damn clipboard was the most over thing in the company. At least on the Raw side. But AJ was over. Now they don't have him doing anything. They've been booking Nakamura around. That's another failed thing they're doing. Jinder Mahal is a failed. Maybe the real experiment here is WWE's new writing and direction. They just don't have one. And they're losing it for all these guys. And all these guys are talented. Finn is super talented. AJ is one of the greatest wrestlers in the world. Is Kevin Owens. Um, Joe can be built of anything. Braun Strowman, they're actually pushing right now. I don't know what the end game is for him, but he's super over, and he's an actual legit tough guy, real big tough guy. I mean, he's good looking. He has a good look to him. He's the guy to stick him after. He's the guy to build things about. Um, Finn's over. Roman Reigns is a good worker. Seth and Dean are good workers. John Cena made a really good point here. He said, I'm still here because you can't do your job. Maybe it's because the WWE can't do their job. Maybe it's because they don't know what the hell to do. And they really don't. When you got guys like, and Hunter's been doing a lot of good work with NXT, but how much of that's actually Regal? Who was just, Regal can talk with the best of them, and he can work, and he can put guys over. So, I don't know. When you got guys like Road Dogg, what the hell he ever do, and Arn Anderson in the back trying to talk shit and trying to tell people what to do, these guys never pulled or made money. They never did anything. Why are they the ones that people are looking to? Why are they the ones that are talking to these new young guys and trying to put them over? These guys were never that over. They were just there. It sucks. They should really. Even Hunter. Hunter's over in his own mind. He was never he never understood the pure ring psychology. John Cena, he understands the big matches. John Cena's problem is he's got stale, and you can hear him call every damn spot he ever takes. He's yelling out every move. Okay, I'm gonna throw you into the rope. It's pretty horrible. But yeah, maybe John Cena was talking not just to Roman Reigns. Maybe he's talking to the whole company, saying, "I'm still here because you can't do your job." But like I was saying, Hunter, I don't think is. He's better than he was. I remember when he had that reign of terror. Could have just give him a new shirt with a shovel on it. Not John Cena with the shovel, Roman Reigns with the shovel. John Cena's biggest mistake was the Nexus thing. Man, he just destroyed every single one of those guys in one fell swoop by beating him. He should have put him over at Survivor Series. But it sucks. I think they should have brought in guys that knew what the hell was going on. But I don't think they're willing to do it. I don't think the guys that should be there are even willing to do it. So, if you had Bret Hart and Steve Austin in the back coaching those wrestlers and telling them what to do, totally out of the picture. Just in the back, just telling these guys, go out there and you want to build to this. Not feeding them lines or something. Actually talking about ring psychology so when you're in the match, people are believing it. You could have had, and you still could do it, but it'd be something to really look at. Those guys were so over. Those guys knew what was going on. Those guys knew how to get over. It'd be like Brett, Steve, Dwayne, so The Rock. Those are the guys you need in the back. These guys that were so over that could just go out there and put on a great match, that could talk. And a lot of people say Brett couldn't talk that well. Brett could talk. Brett could talk to where you would believe that he actually meant what he said. It wasn't over the top like Shawn would do, where he would just start spouting out the same thing. The fact of the matter is, like every promo. He was, more believable. And I think that's what the company needs right now. And guess who that guy is? They need the guy to come back and just, because it was right there. They had sparked it and then they just fell apart right there. His name was CM Punk. Yes, he went to UFC. Yes, he got beat up. But he was still tough to go there. And he was injured and a lot of stuff was going on. But he still stepped in the ring. That's pretty tough. Gotta respect it. But the guy was probably the best wrestler they had. Full package. Talker, ring psychology, promos, and in the ring himself, just actually wrestling. He was just so, polished and good. I think you could say Daniel Bryan, but Daniel Bryan was never that good on promos, and he kind of burned out too fast. I know he got hurt, but he did burn out too fast. The crowd loved him, though. But Punk had that shock right there. He left the company with the title. They should have just let him stay away for a month or two. Should have been longer than the little bit of time they had him away. He should come back, and it should have been. I mean, even the little bit of time he came back, they put on a tremendous match. Punk was so over. If he would come back now, he can maybe spark that reality again. That's really what they want. They look so much at these Twitter polls and these little blurbs and how they get into news. Well, you really want to get into news? You get that guy back there. You let that guy do his thing. Just keep him there for a year or two, have a limited schedule with him, but have him get all these guys up to snuff. Because right now you got nobody that can really talk. I don't know what they did to Dean Ambrose. Dean Ambrose in the Shield looked like he was, he would look like he was going to be Roddy Piper. People said that before. He did. He looked like he was going to be the Roddy Piper talker. Didn't turn out that way. It seems like they clipped his wings. Rollins needs to improve on it. Joe's really good promo guy. AJ's really good promo guy. Those guys should be built around. I mean, they're just not going to do a lot of stuff. But I mean, they should really bring in some of these older guys. Some of these guys that were over, understood the ring, understood proper promo. Because right now, this experiment that they have going on where they're feeding, and I mean, we've changed this a little bit, but this experiment is they're feeding these guys lines, and it's not working. More importantly, they fed the big dog, the guy they trying to get over lines, and it's not working. And that's a problem. Because he has the talent. Just really unfortunate. And I've been around a long time and saw a lot of really good guys and a lot of bad guys. And it just kind of sucks right now that this is the state that we're in. Sometimes when your experiment doesn't work, though, you got to get to the end. I used to be a scientist. Seriously, I was a teacher for a long time and taught science. So when you get to the end of your thing, if your conclusion's wrong, you go back and you do another hypothesis and run the experiment a different way, or you run a different experiment. You got to go back. Sometimes you got to cut your losses. Change it. Roman's not working as whatever they're doing with him. Change it. Neither is Dean and Seth, or they changed Dean and Seth. They put them back together. It's kind of working. Just got to change stuff. Like, Mahal doesn't need that title anymore. And the way they've been booking Nakamura, not working. He's just not working that way. He should have been billed as, just Destroyer. And Reigns probably should be, too. And then, you got your experiments with Bray Wyatt just falling apart, and Finn's just, just floating around. Don't even get me started on their cruiserweights. They have no idea what they're doing. Anyway, that's all I think I got for this first episode. I appreciate you listening to it. Like, comment, subscribe. I know it says Attention Gaming Disorder again, but I do games on here. But this is a new segment I'm doing. I'll probably be back this weekend just to do a preview of the upcoming pay-per-view. I'll just do a run-through. Again, I will be doing some top 10s and talking about old matches and really going after some of these guys and calling them out for what they think. Please leave some comments. I'll always listen. I'll always read them, and I'll always do what we got. Well, until next time.